All right. Well, good Sunday evening. It seems a little earlier this Sunday evening than it did this time last Sunday. So anyhow, welcome to Kellytown Baptist Church for our Sunday night, March the 12th service. We're going to, Debbie and I are going to show a few pictures from our mission trip, and we're going to have some singing. I do want to announce a couple of things. Of course, Don and Jason both are sick, so let's remember them, and maybe they'll get back in here next week and be able to lead the singing again. Chris Burkhoff will be here April the 2nd. He's a missionary to Honduras. He does full-time mission work, and he's came back for a couple of months to generate some more support, and there's things going on that he will tell you about, so that'll be April the 2nd that he will be here. We've known him for a while, and that's why we wanted to get him here, so he could fill you all in on the work that's being done in and around Comayagua, in the valley and up in the mountains. So anyhow, that being said, the ladies will meet tomorrow, and so they'll get into whatever they decide they want to do tomorrow. You know, that's the ladies' business, and so anyway, all you ladies that can come tomorrow at 11 and just join in, have a big old time with them. All right, is there any other announcements or anything that I've missed? All right, so let's open with a word of prayer, and then we'll start our song service. Lord, we come bow before you again, thanking you for being able to gather in your house with your people. Lord, help us to be a light wherever we are, that we might shine. People might see your glow in us and decide to serve you, to accept you as our Savior. And Lord, our heart's desire and prayer is that our friends, our family, and our community would be saved. Lord, help this church to guide people in that direction. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Okay, would everyone please stand with me? Stand. There will be a happy meeting in heaven, I know, when we see the many loved ones we've known here below, gathered on that blessed hilltop with hearts all aglow. That will be a glad reunion day. Glad day, a wonderful day. Glad day, a glorious day. With all the holy angels and loved ones to stay. That will be a glad reunion day. When we live a million years in that wonderful place, basking in the love of Jesus, beholding his face, it will seem just a moment of praising God's grace. That will be a glad reunion day.
one of the songs that we sing while we're in Honduras is, we're going to sing it now, and we sing it because most of the places that we go to, they sing it, their young people sing it, the church sings it, and it's, sometimes we even sing it in English, and there'll be others that sing with us in Spanish. And one particular pastor had his son and daughter sing it in Spanish. They would sing a line, and then we would sing it in English. And it's just an amazing thing that you can hear a song here and go all the way to Honduras, and they're singing it there. That's a God thing to me, because not everywhere in Honduras sings this song, but where we go, they do.
He counts the stars, one and all. He knows how much sand is on the shore. He sees every sparrow that falls. He made the mountains and the sea. He's in control of everything, of all creatures great and small. He knows my name, every step that I take, every move that I make, every tear that I cry. And He knows my name when I'm overwhelmed by the pain. I can't see the light of day. I know I'll be just fine, 'cause He knows my name. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. I can't tell you what's in store. I don't know a lot of things. I don't have all the answers to the questions of life, but I know in whom I have believed, and He knows my name. Every step that I take, every move that I make, every tear that I cry, and He knows my name when I'm overwhelmed by the pain. I can't see the light of day. I know I'll be just fine, 'cause He knows my name.
He knew who I was when He carried the cross. He knew that I would fail Him, but He took the loss.
And He knows my name, every step that I take, every move that I make, every tear that I cry. And He knows my name when I'm overwhelmed by the pain. I can't see the light of day. I know I'll be just fine, 'cause He knows my name. Every step that I take, every move that I make, every tear that I cry.
All right. I guess we'll go ahead and I'll give you a quick rundown, and then we'll look at the photos, of course, we went for the month of February, and we arrived at the airport. We did rent a car because you don't want to take public transportation as many different places as we go while we're there. It would be very expensive and dangerous, and it'd be hard to lug your suitcase around with everything that you'd have. So we rented a car, staying that length of time. When we first got there, we went from the airport. Of course, we got the car, drove to the hotel and spent the night just to relax for the night. And next day we get up and go from San Pedro Sula to El Progreso. It was just about a 30-minute drive, 45 minutes maybe, depending on traffic. Sometimes 3 hours, depending on traffic. But it just took us a little over 30 minutes to go to our next hotel. We were there for a 3-day missions conference, and we'd been invited and decided that we would accept the invitation. So that meant a couple more nights in the hotel room, a hotel room. It was a nice place, but it's not like staying at some of the hotels around here, but it was a very clean, very nice place. And so we sang one night at the conference, and that led to people at a they ran a seminary. They run a seminary. They have a grade school, and all the way from kindergarten through, and they have a high school there, and then they have college courses for seminary students. And they invited us to come there, which from where we were at the time would have been about a 5-hour drive, but we drove about 3 hours to Comayagua Valley in La Paz, and it's actually between La Paz and La Hominy. You can look it up on the map. And we spent a few days there before we went on to the college. While we were there, one of the ladies, the groundskeeper's wife, she was expecting. They were really having joy and anticipation. And we didn't know it at the time, really didn't know it until after the lady came home from the hospital. But she named her daughter after my wife, Deborah. The daughter was born, and about 6 hours later, the daughter passed. So we did have a funeral while we were there. They spent the night looking for a casket, and Chris Burkoff said one of the saddest things that he had ever seen was this dad carrying his baby daughter out of the hospital in the casket. Very, very sad, very touching, but we were there to help where we needed to be, when we needed to be. And that's a God thing. There's no way we can predict things like that. The family needed help and reassurance, and we were there to do that. Okay, after this, a couple of days later, we go on to the college, and I want you all to know that I am nothing. I learned what I know on the guitar, sitting in the bedroom and fooling around with it, and but they asked me to come and teach a bunch of college boys to play the guitar in one hour. So I told them, I said, I don't even know music. How can I teach these college age men, you know? And they said, well, just show them what you know. And so that's what we did, showed them what we know. They were playing some songs they were going to have to play for an assembly before they could graduate. And so I showed them how I would do it, which, you know, I say, and it's honestly the truth, I don't play a song the same way twice in a row. So they videoed it. And hopefully in a few months, in May is when their graduation is. So hopefully in a few months we'll be able to show you a video of these young men playing their guitars, and they'll be using some of my licks, hopefully, Lord willing. But anyway, that was a very humbling experience, and we sang for a
chapel before they go to school.
Yeah, they have an assembly before they start their classes in the morning, so we sung for the kids there. They are teaching them English. And this is a well-to-do school, because the students there are not your regular students. These grade school and high school students, their parents pay for them to be there. And so there are affluent places in Honduras. We just don't see many of them, but this one is. They had windmills, the big turbines like we've got on Windrock. They had them, I don't know how many dozens of them. And we drove by and saw some of them up pretty close.
We thought we was in a different country.
Yeah.
Never seen that in Honduras.
I've never seen that in Honduras. So, and solar panels, they had probably 2 acres of solar panels in one spot. So they're trying to upgrade now. The reason they do this, I'm going to give you just a little lesson here on economics. Other countries have invested, such as China, Japan, and other countries of that nature have invested money in Honduras for these certain things, for the energy and all this, even building housing. But they expect a return for that. So, you know, there's a lot of give and take that goes on there. And because of their investment, it's helping the people, but it also helps the Honduran government. And some of the roads are improving, some are still a mess, and you have to choose your routes. So it's not necessarily the shortest, but the safest and best way to drive, you know, from one place to another. So we did a lot of that, and that cost us some time, but, you know, safety and comfort, that matters. All right, we went to, we sung at a couple of different churches. I preached at a couple of places there in La Paz and La Hominy. We went to Santa Rosa de Copan. We had a couple of churches. We took the pastors a couple of different places. We took the pastor and their family out to eat at a pretty nice place, and that was because, you know, you build relationships. You don't just go one time and say, well, we're here to help, and then leave and don't help. You know, you help one time, but then you don't just drop people. You build relationships and lasting relationships so that you can go back and you can see the progress. And we saw a lot of progress. There's one church that we fed the community again this year, as we did last year. And there was, I don't know, 70 or 80 people there. And their usual congregation is about 15 or 20. So they had quite a few extras. We were able to take the money that we took down there, buy food, and feed the multitude. That particular church in Trinidad, in the Copan area, is building a school behind their church. And They said it would take them about $1,000 to $1,200 to finish the building. Things are more expensive now than they were when we first started going, but I just wanted to mention that so that you know that when you give money or when you send money to these people that we recommend, it's not just being funneled into their bank account. They are using the money to build churches and build schools and to help the communities. That's Juan Carlos. The 10. Oh, we were able to purchase the 10 for the roof. It cost a little more than it was supposed to, but everything does. So we purchased that and worked out a schedule to have it delivered, and we weren't able to go up on the mountain while it was delivered, so they took pictures of it for us. Now, we went up there before the roof was put on, but they took pictures to show us the roof was going on. So the vehicle that we rented wouldn't make it in the mountains, so we were riding with other people, and one of them sold a truck while we were there, so we didn't have any transportation up in the mountains. So anyway, long story short, we returned to the La Paz area, and from there we had a conference there, a Bible conference. There was a couple of preachers that came in. The good thing about being at that missions conference is everybody there knew English and spoke English, and so we could just talk to anybody we wanted to. The bad thing about the Bible conference was hardly anybody there spoke English, but they still wanted us to sing, so we sung. And a couple of different preachers. One is Marcos, and I hope we've got pictures of him.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll see some pictures of Marcos. I tell everybody, I've known him since he was this tall. Of course, he's still this tall. It's been 15 years. He's a young man who we helped through our own finances and helped to send him to Bible college, and he has graduated. He has to work for the Bible college itself. This is part of their training. He's working for the Bible college for 2 years, and they pay him, and he has bought a Jeep Liberty, and it looks pretty good, and he's able to go and preach. He is an evangelist, and he's looking forward to the day that he showed us his future girlfriend. That's what he called her.
He said she wouldn't be his girlfriend until May.
Yeah.
I reckon he's going to go talk to her mother.
He's got to talk to her mother. And so anyway, he's making plans for his future that he might pastor a church, hopefully the one that we're building up in the mountains. That's my hopes. But if God sends him somewhere else, then that's God's business. But that's the tie that we have to him. He calls us mom and dad, and most of the other kids there call us mama and papa. But
He sent Keith a message today and said happy birthday to the best dad in the world.
And I got a call from Lewin, who we didn't get to see this time. But we got a call from him on our way to church, and he sang in English, happy birthday. And he sang it to me. So I'm sort of tickled. I'm sort of pumped up tonight. And that was a real blessing. But the thing is, I'm just an old boy from back Petros Road. And look what all God has blessed me with being able to do. And you say, well, here I am stuck in Oliver Springs. Well, it's not back Petros Road. It's Oliver Springs. You got a little more opportunity here than you do up on the back road. God will use you The best ability that you have is availability. Be available for the Lord, and He will use you. Yeah, I guess, have I covered everything?
Yep.
I didn't write it down, so trying to tell you from memory. So I guess we'll go ahead and show the pictures at this time.
So we've tried to put words on the pictures, so if you have any questions, raise your hand. That's the rental car. Between now and the next time we go, you can stop it just for a minute. Between this time and the next time we're blessed to go, everything that we get, we're going to try to put back for a good used vehicle, because you can see how much it cost us for a month. And we could have already had one bought if we'd have done it a few years ago. Okay. This is the guy. He is a pastor of Pensacola, a college down there, and his attendance on Sunday morning is around 4,000. He is a great speaker. He was very good.
Should I tell the part about his wife?
No,
No, okay. I'll tell them.
I'll tell it. We had a women's, like a workshop. We had Bible study, and then we got to do a craft. And she told that when she colors her hair, he colors. Is that what you meant, Keith? Was that what you meant? To tell on the pastor's wife? Okay, yeah. The pastor colors his wife's hair. And this is the orphanage there at the conference. These are the children that are there, and they blessed us with a song that night.
One of the girls at this children's home, she's the one, I don't know if y'all remember or not, but a few years ago we met her, about 3 or 4 years ago, we met her. And she had been living in a chicken coop. I don't know how long, she'd just been there. And by herself in a chicken coop, and they found her, and the people that found her brought her to this children's home and asked if they would take her in. And she is there now. She's about 19, I think. But she's a beautiful young lady, and she helps now with these kids that some are abandoned, some are actual orphans, and they drop them off. You know, some people drop them off there, and some are brought to them by the government, and they put them in the children's home.
Okay, Don. These are just some of the kids inside the kitchen. They had a very nice facility here. Okay, that's the church on our property. That's right down from our house. But look at the mountains behind it. You've got Comayagua Valley, which is behind that tree there, and it's huge. And then you've got them beautiful mountains. Every time you look at those mountains, it's just a different scene. Okay, this little girl was dropped off. Her and her sister and another little girl from the mountains was dropped off the first week we were there. And we took them out once, and we took them to Pizza Hut. She had never had pizza before. And she wouldn't hardly smile at all. She's very shy. Needed sponsors. Brother Chris was trying to get sponsors. So one of the school teachers at the middle school in Wartburg has started sponsoring her. And she sent me money. Said, Debbie, please buy her a toy that makes her feel loved. So you'll see that on in the slideshow. That's our house in front of it. You see the little bedroom window with the bars in front of it? That's the only window we had. In Calvary Church in Wartburg, the Sunday school classes made up money and got us air conditioner for our bedrooms.
Amen.
I had trouble keeping warm at night. I kept waking up and turning it up.
Yeah, I can wake up and turn it down.
Okay. That's the inside of it before we put the tile back. Okay, that's my little namesake there. Her mama sent me a picture last night. It had been a month yesterday since she passed. Those flowers are on the side. There was a bush out back, and of course they couldn't afford flowers, and I went out and picked those flowers and placed it on the side to make it look a little bit more special. That's the family that lost the baby. That's the college where Keith taught, and that's the boys. It tickled me to death whenever Keith would do one of his little runs on the guitar, and they'd look at each other and just grin, and they had me to come up and video it while Keith would do it again for him. And this is the church in Trinidad, back up in the mountains. That's them coming to church. That's some eating after the service was over. We didn't feed them because they had to sit through the preaching to eat. This girl here on the other side of me, her husband got into the drug cartel. He's in prison, and she's trying to make it on her own. And I was just so glad she came to church. Her sister was killed last year while we were there. And that's another long story, and it was with mafia-type people. They always present us with something there at that church, and that was a bouquet of flowers, and it had chocolates in it.
Flowers for the young lady and chocolates for the old man.
That's his interpreter there. I can't think of his name.
Very fine. This is plain. I have several pictures of this young man from the time we started until this is the most recent time. Over the 15 years we've been going, he has been losing his vision, and now he's almost completely blind. He's probably 30, but he still stays at the children's home. No way to really take care of himself. And he was loading a truck one time. Just picture this little feller carrying chairs out to put on the back of a truck, and he couldn't hardly reach the back of the truck. That was the job they gave him to do that day. And this was several years ago, so he was a little more able to do that then. And I go walking through, going back to where we were staying, going back up the hill, and he said, "Hey, hey," and I look at him. So I come over there, and he wants me to pick the chairs up and put them in the back. So I helped him load the truck, and ever since then, we've been best friends. If I'm splitting wood, he's right there splitting wood too. If I'm working on a fence, when he could get around better, he would be at the fence helping me. He recognizes our voice. He can't see good enough to know who we are, but he knows by our voice who we are.
This is at the front of the church there in Hogar de Amor. That means home of love. That's another orphanage. That's where we started. It's been remodeled since we started going there. But the little girl there in front playing the guitar, her name's Raina. And when she was just little bitty, we took her a little pink guitar. And so she's playing good now. That's Norland. He's probably in his 30s now, this little bitty fella. And he has special needs too. This is Cherry, and I don't remember the lady's name. She's been there forever, but they're peeling potatoes for the little boys' dorm. And some of the older men there planting corn the day we was there. It's so pretty there. In the top of that mountain, they say, Brother Ronnie that started this orphanage, he planted 20-something churches in the area. And there's one on the top of that mountain, and they say when the clouds are going over, of course there's no, there's just cutout places. There's no glass for the windows. The clouds just float through the church, they say. Now this is Marcos, the boy that we have helped, and he's through seminary now. And I got a picture, I think after this one, if you notice his Bible that he's holding, he's duct taped it. Shows a lot of studying. We've got to be at a baptizing, one of the young men there at where our home is. And we took the new ones, well, we took them all and tried to buy them an outfit at they've got used clothing stores there, and so we take them there and get them some clothes. This is the little girl that I showed you eating pizza. That's her sister, Dalmy, and the little girl's name it's Thelma, but they call it Telma. There she is with her dog that the teacher in Wartburg sent the money for. First smile I seen on her. They called us last night. They got to get the time with the telephone, and they FaceTimed us, and she was still smiling. I met a friend. I love cows. That was in our backyard. I don't know if you can see, but that's my clothesline up there. That is a lot bigger than the picture shows. It was a bug on the side of the house. I thought you'd smile like seeing that, Sean. And that was last night. We had snacks for it. Don't show all of them that was there, but that's some of them that came up to eat snacks our last night there.
All right. Of course, we spent the whole month, but we ran out of time. There were other things that we wanted to do. There was no picture of that lady, was there?
No, I didn't get one.
Okay. The lady that a couple of years ago we put electricity in her house. This is all right to do in Honduras. I mean, I'm not a licensed electrician, but you know, you can be anything you want to be down there. So anyhow, we ran the electricity from another house to her house. Somebody decided they didn't want her having one light bulb or 3 light bulbs and 1 plug-in running off of their electricity, so they cut the wires. So she had to have a meter base and the wire hooked up to her house. And she doesn't have a whole lot of money, so she spent money on doing that. And she didn't have money to buy food. They had electricity, 3 light bulbs and 1 plug-in, but they didn't have enough money to buy food, so we, she had been without food for a few days. She has a son who is mentally challenged, and I say this, he self-medicates, which means he doesn't take prescription drugs. He takes I guess you'd call it aftermarket. He medicates with alcohol. He does drink, but he's not mentally grown up yet, I guess you'd say. She's at least, I'd say 60 years old, so he's probably 30 or so. And he doesn't have an income because I don't know if he can't work or won't work. The husband's gone, and she has another daughter that lives with her. So we bought food and took to them. We bought enough non-perishable stuff that they could eat for a while. The thing about doing that is, though, you supply enough food for a few days, even weeks, but what are they going to do after that? And I know we have needs, even in this community, people in need, but there are people that they can get in touch with. There are places that they can call. There, the government won't take care of them, and they just exist. If they are able, they make some kind of, one lady made tortillas and sold them to provide for her daughters and granddaughters a home to live in, her and them. But this lady, it was sad, but we were happy, we were glad to be able to help. But then we think there's so much more that needs to be done. In the particular area that we were in, though, there are a lot of, there's a military base, there's more industry there, a lot of construction going on. The new airport has opened up, and so there are jobs there. But while that is happening here, up in the mountains, there's still, there's no money flowing.
And two, you have to have education to get on anywhere.
Yeah.
And most of them don't.
Well, the education, most of them, if they learn to read and write, then, you know, that's as far as they go. And the schools there, sixth grade is as far as they go in grade school, and then they go to high school. There are people going to high school that are anywhere from, say, 12, 14 years old, all the way up to almost 20, because they just go whenever they feel like they need to go. And so we want to encourage the children that we come in contact with to finish school, get an education. And one young lady that we've known for ever since we started is now going to college. She's getting a degree in business, and she plans on opening her own business. She works at one of the used clothing stores, and support her and another young lady support themselves. That's what we're looking forward to. That's what we're trying to teach and trying to help with. And so, that being said, in order to do that, somebody has to be there. And if you can't go, then I know somebody that will. But if you want to go, we can arrange that too. All right, anybody got any questions or anything?
What was wrong with the baby? I'm assuming it was his heart and her heart. If they'd been here, they'd probably done tests beforehand and seen what was wrong, you know, to save it. But
Yes, the baby, it was at one of the public hospitals. They do have a socialist government, and it was a community hospital, and basically they take you in there, leave you until you actually have the child, then they come back and clean you up, you spend the night, and you go home, basically.
they have other hospitals if you can afford it. Better hospitals.
Yeah, they have private hospitals, but you have to be able to pay for that, and this family just did not have the money to do that. So, any other Anybody with a question?
Did that family have other children?
Oh, yeah, remember the picture I showed with the
I
family?
saw that, and I was wondering if that was
Yeah.
their children.
Yeah, they have, let's see,
We
they,
had celebrated one of the little boys, one of their sons' birthdays the night before she had a baby.
yeah.
There, they still have wakes where they stay up all night and with the, with the body. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, they left, taking the body across the mountain to bury it.
Yeah, they went up into the mountains to the village that they lived in before they moved down to,
Our caretakers there where we stay, they take care of the land and they're getting, they have a Bible school there on property and Brother Chris, he can fill you in when he gets here, but they've really grown in the Lord since they've been there.
there's some of the children from that church are now attending a Bible college. Where's that at? I forgot the name of the place too. But anyway, there's a young lady and a young man. I think that's,
The pastor's son.
yeah, the pastor's son. And this family, one of the children from this family is there. The church is sponsoring them. And so they pay for their education at the Bible college. So there's hope and there's help, but there's always more that you can do. And
Keith was talking, I want to put this in right quick, about the solar panels and everything for the electricity. There on the property where our house is, the church's light bill last month was $10. But the property, the house, our house, and which wasn't being lived in last month, before last, and Chris's house and where the caretakers stay, it was either $3,000 or $6,000.
yeah, and
For what? For one month
Electricity. For a month.
He says they're thieves. They really take money from people with electricity.
I heard you say they will pay for you.
All right. Any other questions or anything else I can confuse you about?
Are you in competition with the cartel or anything like that?
In
Prevalent in that particular community?
in that particular area, things are safe. You can go out at night and go to the Poperia. The bigger stores, there's no huge store close by, but the bigger stores, grocery stores, close down about 6 o'clock or so. And then they have these little, it's like a store in somebody's house, basically. They have things in there that you can go buy. They sell chips and drinks and tortillas and basic necessities.
We took a mother one evening that lost the baby, and she bought a little bag of chicken. And I didn't know they had those. It was just in a little light sandwich bag with chicken to make soup or whatever.
So, but the area that we're working in now is not so dangerous. There's some places, just like around here, you don't want to go at night. There's other places, like where we're at, you can get out, it's safe. There's, like I say, there's a military base close by. You see a lot of the U.S. military personnel out in public. We talked to a Marine there at one of the stores, and I had seen his name on somebody's Facebook thing, and I thought I recognized the name and talked to him, and sure enough, he he was on Facebook. He married a Honduran lady and was stationed there in Honduras. So anyway, there's an Air Force compound, I guess you'd say, and then the Marines. There's a police academy. A Honduran police academy is within probably 3 miles of where we stay. So it's a safe area there. Now, Santa Rosa, de Copan is not as safe, but we still travel. We don't travel.
We was coming home from church one night there in Copan, and the police, they have roadblocks set up every so often, and they pulled us over. And I thought, oh no. But anyway, they just asked for Keith's passport and driver's license, and then they let us go. They didn't even ask to see my passport.
Wanted the registration, and they had me roll the windows down so they could look in the back seat. But we had to rent a car, and we had the registration for the rent-a-car through the company, so there was no problem. Although I didn't know, but you're still in another country, and you don't know what they might do. But there have been times that I didn't know what was going to happen, but I've never had the anxiety attacks. I worked at a prison for years and had just about every day your heart would be up here in your throat, but never had that there. There's probably places that we were at that I didn't know we were supposed to be afraid. But, you're going for the Lord, and if God can take you there, he can take care of you while you're there. And if he doesn't want you to come back here, then you're his, and that's his decision. But it's not, you hear these stories about how bad Honduras is and how the murder rate is higher than anywhere else in the world and all this. Well, that's not necessarily the true picture, because where these things are happening are places where you shouldn't be anyway. If you conduct yourself well, you go to the public places, and it's not like somebody's just waiting to rob you or carjack you or something all over the place. We've been all over some of the cities. Tegucigalpa, we've rode all over there. We've rode through San Pedro Sula, which is supposed to be a really high crime city, but we've never had any problems. But the area where we stay at night, you might hear a coyote howling, but there's no no real problems there. I know that Mexico right now, they're advising people to get out of Mexico because of the drug cartels. At one time, there were places in Honduras that were advising people not to go because of the drug cartels. But presently, it's probably, I know the area that we're in is probably one of the safest places you could be, either here or there. All right.
All day long, there's U.S. helicopters flying over our house.
Yeah. The helicopters fly over the. But any more questions or anything?
How many did you see saved, witness being saved, coming to Jesus?
Over the years, we've seen several. I can't put a number on it, but it's not. What we do is build relationships, and like that church in the mountains, that whole community has never had a gospel preaching church. Never had the Catholic religion is prominent all over Honduras. So they have Catholicism, but they don't have Christianity. I hope that doesn't offend people, but it's the truth. They worship Catholicism. They don't worship Christ. And that's one of the things that you have to break through, is that barrier that they think because they say so many Hail Marys or they bow before this statue of the Virgin Mary or things of that nature, that they're all right. You have to get them to understand that there is a difference in lip service and heart service, and there's a difference in being called a Christian and truly being saved and being a Christian. So hopefully we'll be able to report, Lord willing, when they get the church finished and they start having their services there, we'll be able to report the whole community turning to Christ. The church at in front of our house, the yellow building that we showed you the picture of, there are, I don't know, probably 80 people that attend on a Sunday morning, and not too many years ago, when we first started going there was just a handful. Most of those people don't go there anymore. These are all new people that have come in. A lot of them have been saved in that church, not while we were there, but saved in that church, and the pastor is a local pastor. He pastors 2 churches, and he preaches Sunday morning at this church that we showed you, and then Sunday night he preaches at the other church. On Wednesday night he preaches at the other church. On Thursday night he comes back to the one there on the property. So it's independent from the property, but it's connected to the property, if that makes sense. To actually put a number, one trip, I truly believe that 3 people were saved. You say, why do you put such a low number? Well, some people will tell you what you want to hear, especially those orphaned and abandoned children. You can talk to them, tell them they need to be saved, and they want your love, and they want your attention, and they want you to accept them. So they will make a profession. They will tell you, yeah, I believe. And then the next time you go, you say, where's so-and-so? And then, well, they run off with some drug dealer, or they've gotten in trouble, and so the thing that we do is we build relationships. And just like Marcos, when we first met him, he was a good boy, but he was abandoned just like all the rest. He needed attention, and we gave it to him. And now he's working for the Lord. That's our outcome that we desire. I want to see more of that, but I don't know if I've got enough time to see more of that. You all know it's my birthday. 65 years old. I may or may not go on. My dad was 64 when he passed. So I've outlived my dad. We don't know how much time we have, but we need to work where we can, while we can, and let God weigh the outcome. And I'm sorry I can't give you great numbers like a Billy Graham crusade, but and there are other people that you see that go in places and they have these big revivals and people come running and everything. I'm not doubting them. I'm just saying God hasn't used me that way. He has used us to reach people, individuals, and yes, there have been some that have been saved over the years, but to have a large number, God knows how many, I don't. And we don't worry about numbers anyway, do we? We worry about leading people to the Lord, and if they want to accept Him, then they have the privilege. And if they turn Him away, as long as we have given them the help that they needed when they needed it, it's not held to our charge. I guess I'm done if unless somebody's got something else. I'm in one of them moods, I could probably ramble on all night, you know.
Well, I think for you too, represents our church very well. Though we're not there to see it, but we've seen evidence of what you're doing. And, I mean, that's admirable that you would take out of your private life and time and money to do this. Yet, that's what Christ wants us to do. Just some can, and then some just not able to do that. So I'm just glad to know both of you and having been involved with you.
We
Well,
love our family here.
yeah.
All right.
Our church becomes a family, and we just have to find our spot in it. All right. Anything from anybody else?
Well, I want to say thank you for sharing. Enjoyed that. I'm sure everybody has. You blessed us as well.
I'm just going to go ahead and share this. We have a certain hotel that we stay at, and
Before we fly in and then before we fly back.
yeah, because this is honest. I mean, I'm being honest. You drive for 3 hours after being in the sun and the heat and the dirt and everything. You want to clean up before you get on an airplane, and you can't just. We went straight to the airport, been dropped off, and flown back smelling like a cow. So we stay at this hotel, and they know us by first name, Miss Debbie and well, they call us Mana Debbie and Harmono Keat.
They can't say Keith.
So, but we had a cab driver, and we've seen his son grow up, and now he has grandchildren that he shows us pictures of. So we've formed connections there. One gentleman learned how to speak English in the States while he was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia. And now he's in Honduras. He had dual citizenship, and he's the one we see every time we buy souvenirs. You know, Tony, he's our friend. His wife has passed, and he's raising 3 kids. So we go by and we get souvenirs from him. And this last time he didn't have what we wanted, but he knew somebody that did, so he got them. And I gave him a finder's fee just for helping us find what we wanted. We build relationships, and frankly, that's what we're doing here, building relationships. I might not be the friendliest feller in the world, but at least I'm consistently not the friendliest feller in the world. So anything else before we close? All right, I'll ask you all to stand to your feet, and we'll go ahead and dismiss for the night. Let's bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for visiting among us, and Lord, for helping us do the things that you've called us to do. Lord, just help us to be a good steward of what you've given us. That, Lord, when we stand before you, we can be open and honest, and not receive what we're due, but, Lord, give you the glory for all that you've done. Help us, Lord, to be a help to others. Help this church to shine in this community, that people might want to know you and be saved. And Lord, again, we thank you for this church, and the church is the people that we've come to know and love. Lord, help us to do the things you desire, and go with us as we go home, that we might be that light to our friends and family and everyone we might meet. We